Welcome back. Just getting into this now. Just need a cup of coffee first, actually, and a bit of cake, so my girls really look after me. Just sorting out the steering now, so you can see here from the steering column, it just misses the battery. Got the bracket underneath there, and this is just mounting up the main arm from the rack and pinion to the base of the console. So just putting that together. It's extremely close fit to the sump plug. As you see in a second, it's literally a bee's dick clearance, which is not very much, but it'll do, and it only does. It's about one turn lock to lock, so it's no problem. So you can see it there, very small gap, but shouldn't cause any problems. So now I'm just going to weld up the uni joint. So you can see here it's got some rubber seals, so I obviously don't want to melt them, so I'll just put a wet rag around there, TIG around, keeps the temperature down enough without causing too much drama. It's not probably an ideal scenario, but at the end of the day it's only for a steering column, which is going to be perfectly fine. So gone all the way around, haven't melted anything, and turned out alright, so pretty happy with that. So just slotting it in here, you can see that's the uni joint from the rack down below, another short section to a second uni joint. I made this bracket which I'm going to mount on the side, so to hold the base nice and tight. So as usual, I just drill some holes in there, got some 8mm nuts, just hammer them in position, make them just a nice fit, as you can see here. TIG them up, sand them off smooth, and you never have to worry about nuts turning or anything, so it's quite a handy way of doing it, and it's worth the effort, that's for sure. So I just got that bolted up now. You can see how it's going to be mounted and where the shaft's going to go up to the steering wheel, and it goes through the console. These are four bolts that I've just welded to the frame. What these are for is just to hold the console on. This is the first chain, so it goes from the motorbike to the jack shaft, and then you can just see the sprocket on the right hand side. That's eventually going to go to the rear end. So just putting all that together. That's a 5/8 chain. It's what comes with a Suzuki GSX standard, so pretty normal. 15 tooth sprocket is what I've used all round, so the motorbike, jack shaft to the rear end. This is just the steering column. I've got that little nut underneath there just to lock it in so it doesn't drift up and down. So you can see it here from underneath. Goes through the console. Just a nice tight fit. And that shaft sticking up is the last thing I need to connect. So I've actually got another rose joint that goes on the top. So here's this rose joint going in. It does have some adjustment on it. Not that I really need a lot of adjustment, but I've got a bracket here. Going to weld that to the main frame. That'll hold that rose joint in, and then I've just got the steering boss I made a bit earlier. That'll just mount straight on. So you can see underneath here, there's a bee's dick clearance there as well on the wiring. So everything's super tight on this thing, but it'll be fine. I need to tidy up those wires a bit so it doesn't short out on anything. So there's the steering wheel. I've just got to cut the shaft down and get that boss sorted out, but pretty much the steering's done now. It's just a little bit of tidy up work. It does actually steer pretty good, so pretty impressed with that. And there's the choke that's going on there as well. So front end's pretty much done for now. Just getting around to doing a bit of lathe work here. So this is the main drive sprocket that's going to go onto the rear gearbox from the VW. So it's just a spline in there that I welded onto that sprocket, just cleaning the face up a little bit, and also machined up the drive shafts and made a little washer, which you can see here. So this washer is actually for the chain tensioner, and I wanted to come up with a design that provided a heap of tension. So this is actually a belt tensioner off of a Commodore, and what I did is took that pulley off, bought a idler sprocket which happens to be 15 tooth like my other sprockets, and that little washer I made is here, and that is a perfect fit inside that bearing. And once I bolt it up, it just holds it in play, and it just happens to miss the body of that housing by just a little bit. So you can see it here, all bolted up. Misses by about a mil, which is fine because it only dries on the top side of that chain anyway, so that'll be more than sturdy, so I've just got to find a home for that. I did also finish off this main sprocket, so you can see here, that's what I faced off. There's the spline. It bolts into another housing and shaft, and the idea of that is so that I don't just have the chain pulling on the shaft out of the gearbox without having another shaft on the other side to support it. So drive shafts here, I cut the axle I originally bought a 10mm hole there, put a bit of taper on it, and on the other side matched it up but with a male 10mm shaft. So what'll happen is that'll just be a light push fit into there, which will hold it perfectly into position, and then it'll allow me to weld that. So just putting it in here, this is a reasonably neat fit, not a press fit, and you can see here where I'm going to start welding that just with a nice V. So both these shafts are high carbon steel. You want to preheat them. So this is the finished product there, and once I welded it, I machined the hub out, put the hub on, I tacked it into position, put a dial indicator on it to make sure it was running true, fully welded that, and you can see here with the dial indicator, this is where I'm just working my way through. It's a bit hard to see, but it was about 10 thou out at one point, so I just got it a bit closer than that. And here's the hub, just putting in weld all the way around on both sides, and you know, they come up pretty good. So all I needed to do from here was bolt the disc on and give it a quick spray paint. So I figured while it was hot, may as well put paint on it, will dry instantly, and it's not body work or anything. So a bit of undercoat, dried in about 2 seconds, put the black on, and that also dried pretty much immediately, but did the job, looks good, and that is ready to go in now. So that's one side done. What I'll do is I will show you the process of welding for the second shaft a bit in a minute. So this is the CV joint rubber, just putting that on. There's a concave clip which goes on there, then the CV joint. So you know, I must have the only mower in the world that has a gearbox in it like this. But for those that are interested, the gasket goes on the gearbox side. So you just tap this in. Yep, you shouldn't really do that with a hammer, but I'm only just hitting it lightly. And then you put this circlip on, make sure it's in play, and that is pretty much done. So there's the CV joint, the disc, come up real good. So putting it into the mower here, turns real nice, the disc is nice and straight, and finally I have one wheel on. So just putting that wheel on now, just jacking it up. The wheel is held on with the spline, and I've only tacked the housing that holds the bearing for that main shaft, so I'll have to sort that out next, and the drive chain, but pretty much it's just setting up the rear end just to make sure I've got the angles and everything right. So it's looking really good. So as I said, I'll go through a bit more detail about how to weld these shafts, or how I did it. So first thing is you need to preheat, as I said before. So these are high carbon steel. It's probably not a good idea just to weld these cold, so they don't need to be red hot, but I gave it, you know, a bit of heat just to get it nice and warm. And first thing I did is just ran one weld around initially, and you can see here I've got a friend of mine turning that shaft, which does make the process a lot easier. So it's just a matter of doing a few runs around the shaft. So that was the first run. Then I do a second one. I think I did about 4 or 5 passes, and I'm running at about 135 amps. So it does get quite hot. Once I finished welding, the other thing I did is I actually got the oxy out and just heated it again, just to temper it slightly and just let it air cool. So this is about the 4th, this is the last run, so I'm just again going around, last time around, getting a nice weld on there. This is super strong, can't see any reason why this would ever break, but weld is going on. You can just see the shaft, we're just moving it around slowly as I weld, and I did edit a bit of that out so you don't just see a big arc flash, but you can see here it does get really hot. Here it is, there's the two shafts now in, so there's the left hand side and the right hand side's in, and just putting the wheel on, and finally after all these months got two wheels on, two drive shafts, a rear disc, and I'm about to be able to push this mower for the first time. So letting it down there and just wheeling it out the shed for the first time. Next job will be sorting out the drive chain and that tensioner, and then after that it's really start it up and see if it actually moves. So a lot more to go, so stay tuned, enjoy.
Yes!